Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Facebook Live. I'm Carissa. Our guest today is Michael Klassen, broker of record at 1111 Realty Inc. Today Michael will be discussing Hamilton's real estate market and what the new mortgage regulations could mean for Hamilton and surrounding areas. But before we get to that interview, here are your top 3 need-to-know market facts of the week. October saw a 1% drop in the Terranet National Bank Composite National House Price Index, the largest decline since September 2010. National home sales rose 0.9% from September to October, making a third consecutive increase, but still down year over year. And while nationwide new listings fell by 0.8%, the listings in the GTA rose slightly by 0.2%. All of this and more can be found in our weekly newsletter, the Buzz Report. To subscribe, click the tab on the left-hand side of our Facebook page and enter your email address. The Buzz Report will arrive in your mailbox every Tuesday morning. Now I'd like to introduce our guest, Michael Klassen. Michael has 12 years of experience as a realtor. Michael, along with partner Joel Fenwick, opened 1111 Realty in 2011. The boutique real estate brokerage handles everything from pre-construction to resale homes and condos. Michael, welcome to Facebook. Hi.
Thank you for having me, Carissa.
Great. How are you doing today?
Excellent. Yourself?
I am great. Thank you.
Good.
So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into real estate?
Absolutely. So, I started in real estate about 12 years ago. In 2005, I was a realtor, just sort of did the usual resale business, and fell in love with pre-construction soon after and represented buyers for many years. So I would bring the buyers to the listing brokerage or the builder directly. But I soon realized that I wanted to have my own company, so I started that about 6 years ago with my partner Joel. And about 3 years ago, we were lucky enough to, after many years of hard work and dedication, to get our first listing with a builder, and we haven't looked back since. We love it.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're telling me you're in Liberty Village.
Yes, we are
spot.
in Liberty, yes.
So as we all know, Toronto is the nation's hottest market right now.
Mm-hmm.
But what cities are home buyers turning to find more affordable options?
So you're correct. Toronto is the hottest market, but I mean, it's been said many times. We all know what an average house costs in Toronto these days, which is pretty much $1 million or more. So the last few years, we've seen a lot of migration from Toronto proper down the QEW, down the 401, Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge. Hamilton has been a big beneficiary of that migration. So, but today, the prices in Hamilton are creeping up. Over the last year or two, they've seen a big increase, almost 15% on condos year over year for value, and about 10% for homes. But that's been happening for the last few years, just like Toronto. So people in the Hamilton area are now starting to move further down the QEW as well. So the migration continues. It sort of goes from Toronto to Hamilton, and then Hamilton to Stony Creek and Grimsby, and then down to St. Catharines and on to Niagara Falls, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch on Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I know in the beginning of 2017, we saw sales were pretty significant, pretty solid.
Yes.
And then in April, when spring comes around, the Ontario Fair Housing Plan came into effect. We saw sales kind of take a dip.
Yes.
Do you think we could see sales pick up again in the near term?
I think sales have already started to pick up, at least what we've seen in our business. Things have picked up. We had a bit of a lull there from, like you say, like April, the plan came in, and the market didn't really feel the effect until May and June. July and August was quite slow. September started to pick up, September, October. But November, we're starting to see a real uptick in sales, actually, believe it or not, throughout the region of southwestern Ontario. And again, a lot of that has to do with the affordability issue in Toronto itself, and really in the surrounding GTA as well.
So what kind of homes are in demand in Hamilton?
Hamilton, actually the hottest market in Hamilton are condos. So they're up about 15% year over year in price, but the big statistic is they're up about 68% in sales. So they've had a massive boost in sales, and that is because the low-rise product in Hamilton is now getting quite expensive as well. So an average pre-construction home is pushing 900,000, believe it or not, on like a 40-foot lot. So people are saying, as they are in Toronto, I can't afford a house, I'm going to get into the condo market.
Gotcha. Is supply in Hamilton keeping up with the demand that we're seeing?
It is, yes. That's a good question. Supply is keeping up. However, again, condos are really leading the charge there. And the housing market's sales have dipped about 19% year over year. And that is, again, the same issue that we're having in Toronto. The prices have gone up fairly dramatically. And so with the new housing rules, people have sort of taken a step back to reassess what move they want to make. And that has slowed things. But I do see it coming back in the spring very, very strong.
What about the new construction market in Hamilton? Do you see, more supply coming onto the market there?
There's lots of supply there. We're not concerned about that in Hamilton. But again, we come back to the same issue, which is the pricing. So that pushes a lot of people down the highway and into areas like Brantford. So Brantford becomes very attractive and for people that work in Hamilton because it's only a 15 or 20 minute commute for a substantially better price.
Right.
Yeah.
I also want to touch on Hamilton's rental market.
Yes.
So what kind of demands are we seeing there, and how is the market holding up?
So there is a lot of pressure on the rental market right now. Vacancy rates at about 3.8% for 2017, but that's looking to go down to about 3.1 in 2018. And a lot of that has to do with the fact, because of pricing, a lot of renters that would have normally upgraded or bought are staying within the rental market. You have a lot of downsizers, retirees, who want to remain in their neighborhood but can't afford the house pricing today, even when they sell their home that they've been in for 30 years. So they're moving into the rental market. And then, of course, you've got a substantial student housing rental market pool in the Hamilton region as well, with McMaster and Mohawk. So with all that being said, if you're an investor looking for a condo to rent, Hamilton's a great neighborhood to be in.
All right.
Yeah.
So you already kind of mentioned it earlier, but the new housing rules, mortgage regulations that are coming into effect January 1st
Yes.
by OSFI that they announced last month.
Yes.
How could this impact sales and listings in Hamilton going forward?
Well, it's going to impact everybody across the board. So the big change is really that anybody with 20% down payment or more now has to meet the stress test. And that's a real shocker, to be quite honest, because up until now, everybody under the 20% deposit had to meet that. And all that means is, instead of coming into your bank and qualifying for the going rate at, say, 2.89%, you now have to pass their stress test, which is the Bank of Canada's rate at 4.89%. That all equates to about a 20% loss in affordability. So if you're a young family and you could have afforded a $700,000 home before this rule comes in on January 1st, you're now going to be cut down to about $520,000, $550,000. So, I mean, that's a serious change. So, again, that is going to push people further out to other areas like Brantford, where you can get the product you want for that price.
Right. That was going to be my next question. Now, with these new rules coming into effect, are we going to see maybe buyers from Hamilton considering moving elsewhere, like Brantford and maybe other surrounding areas?
Absolutely. And we see a lot of that in our business. We have a lot of buyers from the GTA, and we're seeing more from the Hamilton region as well move further down, like I said, move into Brantford. So, for example, a average 40-foot pre-construction home in Hamilton region now is about $990,000. In Brantford, you're looking at about $600,000 for a similar product, but you're only 15, 20 minutes down the highway, and that goes the same for St. Catharines and Niagara as well. A little bit further down the highway, but of course they've got other amenities that make up for it.
Right. Yes. And I don't know if we really touched on prices, how the new rules in January 1st, how prices might react to these changes.
So it's interesting, even with the changes that came in earlier this year in April, prices have not trailed off, really. There was a bit of a lull there in certain pockets throughout the GTA, like I said, over the summer, but we're starting to see that creep back. But overall pricing has continued to increase, and we're going to see that through 2018 and 2019. It just won't be at the crazy pace that it was. It's not going to be 30% a year increase. It'll be something more reasonable and controlled, maybe 5-10%, something in that area, which is good news for everybody. I mean, 30% a year was crazy. So yeah, it is having some effect as far as pricing is concerned, in the manner that it's just controlling the increase, but we're not seeing huge dips, massive corrections, nothing like that.
I wanted to touch on Brantford again, because you mentioned that throughout our talk. What kind of, I know you've been saying it's been getting a little bit hotter of the market there.
Yes.
Do you think that will continue, especially with the mortgage rules coming into effect in January?
Absolutely, absolutely. Brantford itself is really, it's open for business when it comes to development. They've set themselves up. They've invested a lot of money into their infrastructure as a city. They're looking to expand. There's talk of amalgamating the county of Brant, surrounding areas, so that they can have more land to build on. So they're very bullish on the development community and getting more people into that city. Having said that, they've got all the infrastructure that's needed to do it. I mean, they're right off the 403. They're not too far from the 401, so commuting is extremely easy and convenient for people. And I think we're just going to see more and more young families and retirees who are really driving the market move into Brantford. Now, the funny thing is you get the investors first, the ones that are usually coming from GTA that have, they've bought a house maybe 15 years ago in Brampton or Mississauga. There's barely a mortgage left. They sell it for $1.5 million today, and they buy a beautiful home in Brantford for $500,000, and they've got $1 million in the bank for retirement. So they sort of lead the charge, and then the young families and the retirees go, "Oh, this is a good plan," and they start to come down as well. So that's what we've been seeing.
What is the average home price in Brantford?
Just over $400,000. So the average home price and we're talking resale homes, the average home price in Hamilton is just over $500,000. So for a 15-minute drive, you could save yourself $100,000, which is pretty good.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
And you touched on some other markets, from the GTA moving, I guess more south. But
yeah.
What are there any markets in your mind that are up and coming that people should watch out for?
Yes, well, Brantford, one of them, absolutely. I think Hamilton's always going to be a safe investment, especially because of what we spoke about earlier with the rental market pressure. So if you're looking for a condo investment, Hamilton's a fantastic location for that. For housing, I love to continue going down the QEW. So the St. Catherine, Niagara region, very bullish on that. I think there's a lot of benefit to living down there. And investors that are getting in now in that region are going to capitalize on the major influx of retirees and younger families that are on their way.
Great. And is there anything else that you wanted to mention, perhaps, that you see happening in 2018 regarding Hamilton, Brantford, that market, or is activity going to pretty much remain how it is, but a little more?
Yeah, I think activity is going to remain fairly steady for the next year or so, and so are prices. Which, again, is a good thing because really the market was a bit crazy there for the last couple of years. But it's still going to be the affordability play for the Toronto investor or for the GTA downsizer or for the retiree or for the young family that, especially with the new mortgage rules, has now been pushed even further out of the GTA market. And with the GO expansion coming, 2021 you're in St. Catharines, and 2023 you're in Niagara, and that whole new line along there is going to make it much more accessible for these young families to work. And a lot of people these days don't even have to go to the office every day. It's not like it used to be. You can work from home a few days a week and still have a great job.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Oh, we have some questions from our viewers.
Oh, nice.
So what is the average price per square foot for new homes in Hamilton?
New homes are ranging about $270 a square foot. New condos are about $500, $500 to $600 a square foot, depending on the location and the project itself. So New homes, 250 to 300 a square foot. New condos, 5 to 600 a square foot.
Great. And what type of transit system connects Toronto to Hamilton, Michael?
Well, the GO train, of course, is the main one. You've got daily commuting from there, and you've got buses as well, believe it or not, and then the QEW. So most people are commuting with a car or on the go.
Great. And lastly, what projects are most exciting in Hamilton? What should we be looking at?
Well, we're pretty excited about, of course, Brad Lamb's new Radio City. That's a big one. We've always been a big fan of Spalacci Homes' the Connaught right in downtown. It's a beautiful condo. They've done a fantastic job there. And for new projects, I think you would just have to go on BuzzBuzz and see what the next project coming out is going to be.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Great. That's all the time that we have today. Please be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. for our chat with Diana Petramala, Senior Researcher at Ryerson University's Center for Urban Research and Land Development. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Hive. Bye.